Welcome back. It has been 8 years. Can you believe that? Look at this set though. Look how beautiful this is. Back then, I was at a kitchen table in my grandmother's basement, just relaxing, just being normal, just gossiping. And now we're here 8 years later. Welcome back to Courtney's Corner. Oh, for those of you who do not know, I'm Courtney. Um, I can't believe it. Like only God could have saw that I was going to be here in this moment, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for those who have asked about it, who have prayed for me, who have been here throughout this entire journey, because it hasn't been an easy one, especially working with someone like myself. But I'm happy, and I'm grateful to be back with you guys. So let's start off, right? Okay, we have 12 episodes to go. So you're gonna see a lot of this face. Get used to it. Get used to it. Get used to it. Let's talk about this space. It's not much, but it's beauty. It's beauty and simplicity. And I love my little cup. Let me get a little drink. I love my cup. I love my table. And I love my fake flowers. And I love the opportunity to be here with you in this moment. This episode is actually going to be about social media versus real life. Yeah, we're going to get into this because there's a lot of people who don't know the difference, don't know what this means, and are so into hiding behind a phone, hiding behind a screen, and we're going to break this down. We're going to break down the differences. We're going to break down what it is to live behind social media and what it is to be real, to live a real life with real people. Coming up, it's none other than my closest friend who I've had the opportunity to work with for so many times. And he's gonna really, really break down these differences, these obstacles that we face. Are you ready? I hope you are. We'll be right back on Courtney's Corner. This topic, this episode, is really near and dear to me because it came from you. I didn't know what to do in the beginning, and I felt like let's find a way to include the viewers and make them feel important and make them feel at home, like you're right here on this couch. So you guys chose social media versus real life, and we're gonna get into it. So the first guest that I have on this season, this man has been doing ministry for years, starting out in Brooklyn, moving down to Texas, and everywhere in between. I want you to give a warm round of applause for my friend and your brother, Brandon the Symbol Morel.
What's going on, brother?
Happy to have you.
Yeah, man, happy to be here.
Man, how things go full circle. I want to say just a few years ago, you were doing the encounter.
Yeah, well, still doing it once in a month. So, yeah, that's something that we have kind of going ongoing.
I actually remember ministering for the encounter the first time and how deep it was for me at that time when we were just beginning, just starting out Kingdom Builders.
Yeah.
And how important it was and how deep it felt. And that was probably one of my first encounters. And then to come back years later and do the arts part, it was even deeper.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see how that has grown, how everything has grown in general, but that just be a space where people can kind of come in, come out, come from different backgrounds, and experience something unique every time. So, yeah.
Praise God. So tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. Who is Brandon?
Who is Brandon? Brandon is some kid from the Bronx who grew up on rap music, whose family background. It's kind of interesting because people usually put that Latino category like, oh, okay, you're Latino, you speak Spanish? No, absolutely not. Oh, well, my mom watches novelas though. But you know what I'm saying? And like, you know, I grew up with the food and grew up with some aspects of the culture, but like, in more parts of it, the more deeper part for me was I just grew up kind of immersed in like kind of New York culture, kind of hip hop culture. Like most people would say, like their mom when they played rap music, they would tell them to turn it off. My mom was playing it. She was the one that introducing me stuff driving to school in the morning. You know, my father used to buy instrumentals and bring them home for me to like write to. You know, we were ripping up jeans before you could buy them like that in the store on purpose.
Right.
We was getting bleach and fading our jeans at home on purpose.
I remember stuff like that.
So, yeah, I mean, and it was one of those things like it kind of made it hard to connect because it was like also being, you know, a lighter skinned Latino was like, okay, well, you know, oh, you're just a white boy because you don't speak Spanish. Nah, but then, you know, I grow up in certain environments and things where like, you know, I'm just kind of used to being in a multicultural environment, living in New York City. My first best friend was Korean. My second best friend was Jamaican. Like, you know, so I'm a person who kind of loves multiculturalism and loves culture in general, arts, and just having, you know, a certain experience with my own faith and kind of bringing the arts and culture and like bringing faith and finding a middle ground for that.
Okay. So let's talk about ministry for a little bit. How long have you been doing this? How long has this been a part of you? What brought you to that place?
So I think that there's certain levels of that, right? So there's parts where I was just a teen walking in off the street and just thinking there's a place to hang out and get free pizza. Then there's like the level of like, oh, you're gonna kind of serve and help or go on certain retreats and do certain things. Then there's a level where it's just like everything's going wrong in your life and you're like, Jesus, I need you. You know what I'm saying? And then there's places where you just kind of get to another level of kind of maturity and understanding. And then there was another level of like, oh, well, I have to, in order to fit into this, I have to be this. And then realizing like, hold up, the reason why I came here in the first place is to reach people over here that were like me. And then like realizing like I kind of lost myself in a sense and I had to find a middle ground. So all in all, you know, a little over 10 years, about 10 years, but yeah.
So now this is something you do full time?
Yeah, full time. Full time. I get to, you know, travel and speak and perform. But what's kind of more important to me is those opportunities where like I'm going into families' homes and sitting down at the dinner table and like wrestling stuff. I mean, something that happened last week where like the father opened up to me about like all this stuff that happened in his past and sitting down with teens who just simple stuff like going through breakups, but for them that's the end of their world.
Right.
Just kind of being
and having
able
to discuss that.
Yeah, being able to be that bridge and kind of just connect with people on that level.
So I saw something, because you know I'm an Instagram creep. So I saw something, and you were doing ministry like outside in the street. How was that? Talk about that.
Oh man, it was one of those things that like that's been one of my ideas since day one, and it was always one of those things like, okay, I could just go out there and do it, but I guess I don't even know if I would say it's a confidence part. It's just more so like I always felt like I needed something to connect people back to, and so I felt like that had to be a part of the movement or a part of people around me that started connecting. And so once we did that, we just kind of set up a little series this past summer of going to different areas and just saying what's up to people, you know?
Right.
I think everybody else does it. And the thing with New York is we're used to being stopped on the street for so many things. But
sometimes all the wrong things.
Exactly.
Wow.
And for somebody just to say, what's up, how you doing? Like, you know, and not be like, what's up, how you doing? Like, they about to check you out and rob you or like try to sell you something.
Yeah.
So, it was a cool experience. We connected. I remember like the first day, some girl was wearing some hat and I didn't realize what it was. And it said something about God. I don't remember. I think she was like a quote from Kendrick's album. And then like we just started dialoguing off that, you know?
Okay.
So yeah, it's come up a bunch of different ways, but it was cool.
Well, I'm happy to know that you've come full circle because not only now are you doing ministry, but you're a family man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. You got a wife, you got a kid.
Yeah.
How is that life? 2 kids.
Yeah.
How is that life?
Man, I love it. I think we don't have too many good examples of good relationships in our communities.
Yes.
I think in society today in general. And one of the things I love about my wife, most people when they talk about women, they talk about their beauty, but my wife's strength, like just knowing her story from adoption and abuse to like masters in social work and going to like help people and just kind of the way she is, and because she's strong, we bump heads at times.
Right.
But
Right.
just having that support and being able to build that from the home is just dope.
Man, I'm so proud of you. You have no idea. Your story is actually something that inspires me, and we can kind of dive into that a little bit later. But you know, I look at you and I look at all that you've done in your life, and it's something that I aspire, that I long for sometimes. You know, I remember you just saying now something about being lost, and I remember at points in my life where I was lost. You know, and I remember, like I said before, I remember going to the encounter and finding myself, finding my authentic self. You know, many times we put on these masks, just trying to be everybody else, you know, everything else, and not remembering that God wants you, your authentic self. You know what I mean? And we forget that sometimes. So I'm happy, and I'm blessed to have been able to do that.
We've kind of confused. Man, I was just talking about this with somebody. It's like religion and spirituality used to be together, but now sort of this like authoritative religiosity, you know,
Right.
has kind of separated itself from spirituality. But in general, they're supposed to be together.
One, right.
You know, we need structure in our life, and that's why there has to be structure in religion, and organized religion. That's just normal. Like they teach elementary school teachers that.
Right.
You know, but at the same, and so we need the structure, but we also need the space where, if we are spirit and there's spirit moving through us, whatever that, we have the ability to explore that freely, but also in a way where we're kind of encouraged and guided and kind of brought back. And so,
And in many ways, I feel like the relationship part is going. You know, like even for those who are so structured that that's all they are. Stand up, sit down, pray, kneel, take communion, sit down, pray, go home. And we've forgotten that it's not about just a religion. It's about the relationship that you have with Christ.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can't keep getting saved every day. You need to consume a relationship and want the relationship. You understand what I'm saying?
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with everything. Like I said, it's supposed to be both. Is because what happens is if you don't have structure, even in a relationship, if there's not like some ground rules. You don't have areas that you're not going to cross with one another. You don't have those things, and that's going to fall out too.
Right.
So it's like I said, it's finding the middle ground of both and being able to operate between both worlds, which is difficult.
Right.
Especially, you know, like myself, I'm usually the youngest person sitting at those tables with some of those people. Only person who looks like this, dressed like this, talk like this. So I get to kind of be a voice for the other side. But then, you know, kind of being.
Yeah.
I love this one person. They put it to this. The good thing about being a bridge is you're connecting people. The bad thing about being a bridge is you get stepped on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk some more. Brandon's going to stay with us for the remainder of the show. And we're going to dive in to the social media world and how it's impacted him, how it's impacted his followers, and how we can do better as a community. How can we change this norm? We'll be right back on Courtney's Corner. So we're going to dive into the social media, this conundrum of social media. I remember when I first started social media, and it was right in the cusp of like 2006, 2007, and that's back when Skonex and
Yeah, I was about to say
MySpace
that.
and Tagged, all of them were like up and popping and popular, and like that's all you did. Right?
We had sidekicks on
and
that.
you kind of like you got sidekicks. It was right before iPhones and Galaxies became the new wave. There was the sidekicks and Blackberries.
Yeah.
And I remember going right into college, and Facebook became the new place to be. And from then on, it's been like a sword. And I don't remember the last time I've ever put my phone down out of my hand. I feel like sometimes I sleep with it. I wake up to it. I don't brush my teeth sometimes in the beginning because I gotta go check my phone to see what somebody said or who like my statuses. You know what I mean? They're pretty good. Check them out. But who liked them and who am I gonna add now? Which friend am I gonna add now? So how was that for you?
Oh man, you got to find a balance. It's hard because I can find myself doing some of the same things, but I have to like train myself to like not do that. So what I'll do is sometimes like usually we charge our phones by our bed. Like I'll purposefully charge it in the living room or something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or like just finding different times where I need to put it aside. You know, because even sometimes even in meetings, or sometimes you're having a deep dialogue with someone, and like you're like, and they like sharing the most deepest part, and you're like, hold up. Nah. So just realizing like, oh, okay, it has to be a conscious choice.
Yes.
When I'm gonna turn off and when I'm gonna turn back on, and how I'm gonna like focus on all of that. And yeah, I don't think it's easy. I don't think anybody has a perfect mastery of it, but it's a space to navigate.
And let's talk about its platform. You know, how has that been for you? Like the platform that you have now, did that come from being on social media, or was that something that you created beforehand?
Ooh, okay, so I think I've gone back and forth. So there are times, and there's certain areas and certain spaces where I know that I've been able to have a larger reach because of the voice that social media gives you. You know, I've been able to connect with people in other parts of the world. People just like streaming like videos. I mean, a couple weeks ago, this lady from California was like, "Hey, I play your videos in my youth group," and I was like, "Oh, don't even know who you are, lady. Thank you." You know,
Yes.
and so that you're able to have that reach. But I think for me, a lot of my effectiveness has been like person to person. I do so many live events and so many like just kind of experiences with people in general, that I think what has happened is it's made those people want to stay connected on social media afterwards. And so mine is kind of built, whereas most people will go to social media in order to gain following so that they can have those like live events and shows, whatever. I've done the live events and shows, which is then, you know, that's how it's worked for me. And so, yeah, I think it's a good space and good place to connect people in order to start conversations.
Right.
But the bulk of the conversation happens person to person like this, you know. I remember one time this guy like reached out. I've known him for some time through internet. We met in person once, and he was literally going through issues like his wife and his kids and everything. This dude decided to reach out to me, and I'm like, and it was one of the things that was weird for me because I'm like, there's nobody like around you, and honest to God truth, there wasn't for him, and so I was able to kind of plant some seeds, but the unfortunate part of that is I kind of gave the person like, look, he lives on the other side of the country, you know, and I was like, look, you need to go find somebody for you there, because this ain't gonna, like, over time, this like long distance thing isn't gonna connect. So like that, and then he wound up didn't, and he wound up worse problems, but that's because he didn't continue that way. On the other hand, like, man, one of the reasons why I started doing ministry full time, because I was doing it like part time while working in schools and teaching art and music and stuff. I had went to this one thing down in Texas, and this one young person reached out and like literally every day would ask me questions. Literally picked up their Bible, started reading, sending me questions. Some of the stuff I didn't even know. I needed to like research on my own. Like, oh, all right, hold up, you putting me to the test.
Right.
Long story short, I wound up being the same person's confirmation sponsor. This person's about to get married and invited me to the wedding. Like was at my wedding. That's how we've connected, you know, because it was more than just the online experience. But the online experience assisted the personal experience. So yeah, I think it can go both ways, but just how you handle it.
And it's so important sometimes, you know, that you keep this connection. You know what I mean? I feel like Facebook opened up this platform for you to be able to connect with people that you probably haven't seen in years, or may not know that you can get to know. I know a bunch of my friends, they met family members that they didn't know through the power of social media, you know? And to dive into the power behind it, you know, you talk about the positive things that social media brings out, you know what I mean? And that connection. But let's dive into some of these negative things. You know, I feel like now in today's generation, it's not so happy and peaceful. You know, it's more so like, I'm gonna go on social media and I'm gonna bash you. You're never gonna see who I am. You're never gonna know who I am, but just know that I hate you for being who you are because I'm not you. You know what I mean? So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, what it does is it allows people, I think we've always had masks, right? That's a part of the fall of mankind, that we're not perfect beings, and so we wear these certain masks in places. I mean, that goes back to like the ancient Greeks would talk about that stuff, you know, but what technology has done is it's kind of added a larger like wall between us and other people. We're able to hide behind so many other masks. And because of that, either one, people feel like they can be more bold, but they're not really like that and about that in real life. Or two, they can voice their opinion without having any actual like factual knowledge behind things.
Right.
Like, I mean,
That's big.
you know, to be honest, like, I mean, there's some people who could, like, you could write something up right now, like, and it will reach people all across the world and they'll believe that it's true, but we could have made it up right now in this room.
Right.
Again, with no, and nothing behind it,
Because
just,
Facebook and Instagram and Twitter has become the newest source of research.
oh yeah,
than
YouTube
grabbing a
and
book.
Wikipedia.
Right, then grabbing a book and reading out of a book, or searching the internet for facts that you know that is said to be true. Then, oh yeah, you know, he did travel the seas and he had on Prada, and they'll believe it and they'll write it and it not be true. You know what I mean? So, what about the youth and how it's affecting them now?
So I was watching, man, and man, I found this was so good. Is what you were even saying is, so there's kind of, I can't remember the name of the chemical, but there's a chemical that goes off in your brain every time there's a pleasurable reaction that you have. Happens in our sexuality, happens when a woman is like breastfeeding, you know, but it also happens, a small dosage of it, I can't remember the name of it, goes off in your brain every time you receive a notification on your phone. It's this, somebody likes me, or somebody's thinking about me. And that little, add that to adolescence, teenagers going through all the other myriad of emotions and being all over the place. And what happens is it becomes an addictive thing, that I become addicted to that little thing in my brain going off. And so it's, I have to look at the phone and I have to be on a Snapchat all day posting something, even if I'm just like not even doing anything with my life. I'm gonna make it seem like I'm doing something in order to get more of those notifications. And so I think that addiction is, man, it's dangerous.
It is.
It's super dangerous.
It is very dangerous because now it's so easy. It's so easy for someone to get to you, whether it be emotionally or physically, through this use of social media. You know, and it's now like, what do we do? You know what I mean? What do we do? Because it starts with us. We were the ones who started this. You know what I mean? We were the ones who brought this in. You know, we brought this power in. Their power then increased, and then it just took off on either sides. So, are we to blame?
Nah, man. I think in general, again, it's a product of the fall. Mankind has gone throughout all of history. There's something bad that we got into, you know?
Right.
And there's something addictive that happened. There's some broken families. There's some war. There's rejection. There's classism, sexism, all those other things that come up all throughout history. And just we find new ways to kind of engage in something bad. It just seems to be more attractive for us for whatever reason it is. And this just happens to be what it is. One of the people I follow, man, I've held on to this little statement. He says, if you live for people's acceptance, you'll die from their rejection.
So true.
And I think that that's where most people are at, where, man, do we have genuine, authentic relationships outside of technology? I think that is going to be the defining factor on where it goes. And I think where we are as people who can be that bridge, mold, teach, connect, is to kind of initiate those authentic relationships.
Right.
So we're not going after people just for that like, that follow, that whatever. You know, if we actually are invested in people, then they're like, hold up, it kind of starts a part of a chain effect. And I mean, just 10 people, like, you know what I'm saying? In one little area and then that compounds its way down. Yeah.
Bring it on back to where it was. More Brandon Morrell when we come right back. I'm pretty sure you've heard about this Nike Kaepernick campaign. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, there's a couple layers of it, right? There's first, obviously, what did Kaepernick stand? What was he standing for in the first place, right? There's Nike's participation in that. There's kind of the social medias and the memes that have come out of it.
Right.
And people either people being angry about it, or people making jokes out of it, or people whatever. You know, that's that one angle. And so, yeah, I think what it is like, you got to look at what are the objective truths in it, and then what are the things that people are taking subjectively into that.
Right.
So the objective thing is, okay, is there inequality in America? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's objectively true. Just look at the stats. I mean, you want to look at, there's a book called The New Jim Crow. You can go read that. You can go to on Netflix, watch documentary 13th,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you can kind of like dive into it and see where that how the gap is racially
Right.
in America still to this day.
Right.
And so that protest in support of that, you know, I mean, that's why we know he did the protest. If he had other things behind the scenes that he was, I don't know him personally. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
But if that's the case, then okay, boom, here's a good thing. And then Nike's participation in that, okay, are they really supporting the cause, or is it a financial like gain for them? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Again, I don't know them personally. I would think, logically speaking, they know that their consumer is more the minority consumer,
Right.
and the people who are also the influencers, who are the biggest on social media, biggest culture.
Yes.
I mean, America's biggest export is media
Yes.
culture. So being able to get them on their side is going to up their brand sales and everything like that. So that
I know it sure did with me, because as soon as I saw the sale,
yeah, I mean, I have a friend of mine who actually like into investing stocks, and before they even posted it out there, like he already had put it on his story. Like, look,
Right.
the next day his stock
shot up. Yeah.
crazy, and so I think it's good. I think that it's good in at least starting a conversation that a lot of people were running away from.
Right.
I just wish people would approach it a little more respectfully.
How so?
Well, you either have, again, the people who are going to completely downgrade it just because of their subjective reality,
Right.
that they haven't seen how that disparity works, how
Right.
that, and also like the people who are just like using it as an opportunity to make a joke and kind of get another
Right.
follower, you know?
And then, like, right. So, like, for me, when I first saw it, it was so social media based. The video had not come out yet. There was just this picture. You know what I mean? There was just this picture, which, you know, we knew then that, you know, Nike had stood behind, you know, Kaepernick. And then everybody else just went ballistic. You know what I mean? Without having watched this video. You know what I mean? So for me, it was more social media motivated than realistically. Like, this is what's going on. This is why they're standing behind them. True, it's a money gain, it's a financial gain, but let's kind of think deeper than that. You know what I mean? Or let's try to think that they thought deeper than that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I think again that's what I'm saying. I think it's both aspects of that, and then like how people engage with it. Most people know, any marketing person will tell you this. Like, you know, when I went to school in business and I took a couple marketing classes, like where we're at right now is sort of this like shift where the people dictate the culture,
Right.
whereas it's not the higher ups as much anymore. If I start a vlog and get enough followers, I can influence more people than the president can.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It is true.
I love this artist that he said that's why rappers got more influence than the politicians.
It's
You
true.
know?
It's true.
People are listening to their favorite sports icon more than they're listening to some religious leader. You know, and so obviously Nike knows that. You
Right.
know, at least the marketing department of Nike knows that, and they use it for their advantage, or I don't know. Maybe they do support the. Again, I don't know them personally. But I think it's good that at least the conversation is happening,
Right.
and we'll just see where it goes from there. I think the thing is we gotta. You can see obviously that the masses are moved by that, you know, but when it starts moving into policy and like things actually changing
Right.
in the social structure, that's where I would hope we would get to. You know?
Okay. All right. So during this session, we were able to get a bunch of questions from our viewers, and the first one out of many, we're not going to be able to get to all of them, by the way. I'm so sorry. Just know that we love you. The first one is, what's our responsibility to our children?
What's our responsibility? Okay, so man, this is an extreme example, but somebody told me a couple years ago. They said they read this book, and the guy says that if one person in your neighborhood's on crack, then everybody's on crack. You know what I'm saying? And
Not me.
yeah, but like it's an extreme example, but what it's meant to paint is that we are responsible for one another. Like,
Right.
we've lost that.
Yeah.
We have this hyper sense of independence. Independence is good. Like,
Right.
good thing, but we've exaggerated it to the point where we've lost the sense of family, community, togetherness.
The brother's keeper of it all.
Yeah, we now hide our faces and like, oh, we don't know what's going on, or we just put it on World Star. You know what I'm saying? So like, that sense of feeling responsible for the other person, just as a humanity sense, we've lost that. So.
And one is from Michelle in Brooklyn. Are celebrities responsible for presenting a good and positive image for us?
I think to a degree, you know. I mean, I think also we idolize them to a level where we forget that they're human, and we don't allow people to make mistakes because they're in the public eye,
Right.
you know, and so that's a harmful part of it. But I think to a degree, if you're in some type of public setting, you do have some level of responsibility to the viewers.
Right.
You know, now is that the greater sense of responsibility is on the immediate family and all those kind of. It's not. Oh, you know, Cardi B did this, so I'm gonna stop being a mom. No. You're a mom first, and your influence happens first.
Yes.
But does Cardi B also do that? You know, have an effect on that? Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
One more we'll get to. So it says social media is a marriage. It's like real life. One side, okay, I'm sorry. On one side and the marriage on the other. So how can you differentiate between the two?
Basically, it's differentiating between reality
And social media. Yes.
I think you have to have experiences in reality. If you literally are on your phone all day, you don't have times of getting off of it. I mean, that's the basic part of it.
Right.
If you don't have authentic relationships, you know, outside, then how you expect to have it on there?
Right.
So yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, same thing. So I think it just depends on, and we have to make a conscious choice because it's easy to get sucked into.
Right.
It's easy to pass time that way. It's I got nothing to do, so let me just scroll. I got nothing to do. Let me sweep the floor or something.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
Let me go see if somebody needs something. Like, you know, actually take active action in the world. So yeah, that's how you differentiate it. Just having a balanced life.
My man, it's been a pleasure. It has been an extreme pleasure having you, being my first guest on the couch. If you want to give a little shout out, tell them people where they can find more about you, how they can get a chance to know more about you. It will actually also be at the bottom of the screen. But go ahead, give us a little taste. Where can they find more about you?
Yeah, so bethesymbol.com. So that makes it easy, right? The website, bethesymbol.com, and then you go to everything: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever. It's Be The Symbol. So BeTheSymbol.
Guys, this is Brandon, the Symbol Morel. Don't be a stranger. We love you. We'll be right back.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to thank Brandon Morel for being my first guest on Courtney's Corner. I want to thank you guys for the viewer's choice. It was such a blast to know that you guys support me. We're going to be here for 12 episodes. So please, get used to this face because I'm going to be in your screens for a long time. Next week's episode is going to be about mental illness. We're going to have a great set of panelists. And are you not ready for it? Because I'm ready for it. Please stay tuned. It's Courtney's Corner. See you later. They put me under. The guy comes in here and he goes, "Stop. Stop everything." And here I am looking like, what is going on? What happened now? What did they forget? And he told me that I wasn't going to be able to give this kidney. And once again, here I was in this numb state. Here I was in this numb state. And I couldn't understand why me? You know, why me, God? Out of all people, why me? Why now? And it took me some time. It took me a long time. But months later, I realized that there was something that I was doing wrong. And in 2017, I want to say a week or two before my birthday, I got the call again. And this time, I just let things go. And I told myself, God, whatever you want for me is for me. And I woke up with the kidney. I woke up a changed man. I woke up with a different perspective on life. So I'm here to tell you that the power belongs to you. No one can take that from you.